Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm showing you how to make your own quick and easy mobile travel ironing mat. This is so easy to pack and put it at the bottom of your travel case, and also easy to use around the house when you don't have time to get your iron stand out, find a place for it, and so on. If you like this project, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber yet, then please do subscribe so you get all the updates on the new tutorials that I will be planning. Also, just to remind you, I'm launching a new paid channel next week, which is going to be 10th of April 2014. Remember, all the back patterns are free in this package with a full year subscription, and this is available only till 22nd of May 2014. Now let's get started with today's project. I have got here 2 layers of denim. Basically I have cut the whole length of denim, and this is about 20 inches in length or 50 centimeters, and I have cut the center here. Okay, so basically this is 100% cotton and there's no stretch at all, so it's 100% cotton, no stretch. And I've also cut out an 8-ounce poly wadding, and this is kind of fits into my fabric, but we're going to trim this later on. I'm going to kind of round the corners because if I keep it square then I have to stop and start again with the bias binding just to make my life easier. So basically what I'm going to do is, you can mark it, I'm just going to do it like so. So I can just sew my bias binding without a stop, and there's going to be only one joint. When you do a corner like this, I'm going to do, just to match it on the other side, I'm going to fold it like so, match the straight line, and then go ahead and cut this matching to the first corner that I rounded. And I'm going to do the fold this way, and now we're going to round the corners on these 2 sides. That way, without a pattern, you've got an identical rounded corners on all 4 corners, like so. And now we're going to place it on top of the second fabric and then trim your corners, and that way you have got an identical piece. Once you've done that, we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew. Okay, we have got the final kind of size ready, both the layers cut out properly, and we're going to go and sew. Before we do that, we need to cut the poly wadding. Let's spread the poly wadding like so, spread the fabric on top like so, and then just trim out your corners of the poly wadding exactly to the size of your fabric. There's your poly wadding that's ready, and here's one layer of the fabric. Now we face the wrong sides together and there's no turning. We're going to sew from the right side of the fabric. So place it and match all the sides and corners properly, and then just go ahead and pin, because we're going to sew this with a bias binding. So we're going to go and bind the whole of the outline of this fabric, but before we do that we need to leave about from here to here gap, because this polyfill you've got to consider like a pillow, and once we've done that we're going to put the pillow in and then close the rest of the binding on this. That's why you need such a big gap. We need to measure the bias binding so that we have enough and it just goes around, and without kind of going over or under, you kind of finish it neatly. So you need to measure like so. I'm going to put a pin in the beginning so I can measure my bias binding. You can take a measuring tape and do it, but the best way to do it would be like this, because then you will be within half an inch or an inch within the amount of bias binding that you need. That's the best way that I can think of. So I'm going to do that, and then when I come to the end, I'm just taking it easy. I'm not pulling it, I'm not giving it too much of ease and leaving it loose. I'm just placing it like so. We will have to pull a little bit on the corners when we start sewing. I'm just taking it easy like so. And then when I come to the join, I'm just going to take about half an inch extra. You don't need more than that. You actually can cut it dead on line, because when we pull it on 4 corners, there's going to be plenty extra for us to have the seam allowance. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start in one corner. We're going to leave that in the center. My marking is we've got to sew until here. When you finish the rounded edge and then come into the straight line, that's where your marking needs to be. So that's the starting point, that's the ending point. We're going to go and sew around, leave the center gap, and once we put the pillow in, and then we're going to finish this binding. Okay, here we go. We're going to place it like so. If you find it easier, you could go and do an iron fold in the center of the bias binding, but mine's quite stiff, so I'm just going to place it like so and make my fold as I go. So basically we're just going to go and sew an edge stitch like that. And as you come to the rounded corners, all you're going to do is pull the binding a little bit like so. Just make that rounded corner, and it's going to sit neatly, because that's what bias binding does. It kind of binds the edges. That's why it's called a binding. And when you come to the straight edge, you don't need to pull. You can just go and sew normally. If you find it difficult to do like this, first go and do an edge stitch on the fabric, and then you can attach your binding, or you could start from the wrong side of the binding on the fold and then turn over as well. Okay, we're coming to the rounded corners again. So now I'll start pulling ever so slightly and then round the edges. Then give another gentle pull. Okay, we're coming to the last corner now. That's where my pin is. So that's the marking, so I need to stop there. So let me just go ahead and do. So I'm going to stop there. Okay, here we go. We've left the bias binding there. As I said, this is kind of come, even though I cut straight on line, I have got around an inch that's been overlapping here. So that's absolutely fine. So if you think, you're not sure about this, then just leave a little extra, then you always can cut off the excess, okay? So we're now going to turn this over like so and close the bias binding, because we've got 1/2 inch seam, but I'm going to take a little extra. That way the binding will stretch and sit really neatly. So I'm going to do a 3/4 inch seam from there to there, starting and finishing with a back stitch. Okay, I've done the seam, and now when I stretch it, this is going to sit flat. Okay, so that's now ready. We need to insert the poly wadding. Let's take it. We've already cut to size. What you need to do now is just go and trim all around about between 3/4 inch to an inch, because of the thickness, it just needs to go in and sit comfortably. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to make a little snip, otherwise you don't know where you started. Just going little by little like so. I'm going to go around in the same shape that we have cut before and kind of reduce it under the seam allowance. So basically we're taking the seam allowance from the batting. This is also called batting as well, that they use in inside quilts. So just go ahead and do that all around. Okay, now I can see the binding almost, the binding is bordering all around the batting. So now what we need to do is just go ahead and place it inside this gap here and spread it, and it should sit perfectly because we've cut to size. The poly wadding is in, and then we still have got like 1/2 inch there for our seam. So what we're now going to do is just go and close the seam and then close the stitch as well. It's okay if you're going to sew on the polyfill. In a way it's good because just at the edge this will hold the batting together, it won't let it move, so that would be great. So we're just going to fold it like so and go and sew. I put a couple of pins on the edge so I can take it as I go along. Sew over a little extra and finish with a back stitch. Okay, there you have it. Your travel ironing mat is now ready. Now this fits into the bottom of my big suitcase quite comfortably, and also it doesn't take a lot of space because this is going to press in and you carry whatever you like. This is so handy, especially if you're traveling and you're traveling with a travel mini iron, because you don't find tabletops with any fabric at all, and sometimes the linen that's provided in hotel rooms are kind of polyester based and you don't want to ruin it, you don't want to iron it. And now you can be rest assured that you'll be going out with clothes that neatly pressed and ironed. So there's your travel ironing mat. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next project.